finally, I have effectively about a minute left, so I just want to reiterate. So within the next 2 hours, DHS is going to be effectively to path to shut down. And I want to remind everybody that ICE has plenty of money, and that vote to shut DHS down will have no functional impact on ICE because they have that $75 million from the big, beautiful bill. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I cede.
Did Senator John Fetterman just say what I think he said? That ICE is already funded for $75 billion as part of President Trump's big, beautiful bill from last year. As a matter of fact, he did. Fetterman said the quiet part out loud 2 hours prior to the start of the current partial government shutdown affecting parts of the Department of Homeland Security. Today, we'll be discussing how the Democrats and the dishonest news media have teamed up again to intentionally mislead uninformed citizens by not mentioning what Senator Fetterman and other U.S. senators on both sides of the aisle already know. Let's get into this, continuing with Senator John Fetterman and Acting Director of ICE, Todd Lyons. Let's go.
How many billions did the big, beautiful bill allow or amount for ICE effectively?
Sir, we're about $75 billion.
How many other operations, departments are in DHS? Like Coast Guard?
Coast Guard, okay. FEMA, CBP.
FEMA, okay.
CISA, which is...
CISA, like cybersecurity?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's kind of important, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, then that would shut down.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And now another one also, TSA.
TSA is under DHS.
That's another one. Okay. So if someone votes to shut the DHS down, they are not having any meaningful functional impact on ICE because they have unlimited money effectively for right now, right?
Yes, sir.
So you're going to punish all of these other parts, the very important parts of our government, TSA, Coast Guard, FEMA, and cybersecurity. That's what kind of a statement if we announce to our enemies, like, well, our cybersecurity agency, now we're going to be shut down. If I really want to make a move, that probably makes it better. And then, so is that a accurate statement?
It's a fair assessment, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, and finally, I have effectively about a minute left, so I just want to reiterate. So within the next 2 hours, DHS is going to be effectively to path to shut down. And I want to remind everybody that ICE has plenty of money, and that vote to shut DHS down will have no functional impact on ICE because they have that $75 million from the big, beautiful bill. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I see.
Now, as you'll see in our next clip with Fox host Harris Faulkner and Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn, not only is ICE funded through 2029, but Customs and Border Protection, better known as CBP, is already funded as well. The Democrats have created a narrative with the support of fake news that the reason for the shutdown is because they don't want to give ICE or CBP another dollar. In other words, the shutdown is the Republicans' fault because they don't want to come to the negotiation table and see how they can stop the shutdown and get the TSA, Secret Service, Coast Guard, CISA, and FEMA paid without having to fund CBP or ICE until they can negotiate law enforcement tactics with the Republicans. The Democrats are creating an illusion that they're not the reason for the shutdown, which is 100% lie. Let's get to Harris Faulkner and Marsha Blackburn and get their take on it. Watch this.
Harris, what we need is for Democrats to realize they own this, and the American people know that they own this shutdown. It is time for them to stop using the American people, TSA workers, federal law enforcement as pawns in their game. They continue to try to put illegal aliens before U.S. citizens, and the American people are tired of this. The TSA agents and all the other federal agencies, FEMA, the Coast Guard, Homeland Security investigations, they deserve their paycheck. They are out there working. The Secret Service deserves their paycheck. So the Democrats need to stop this. But here is what people need to remember, Harris. The Democrats have said their goal was to defund federal law enforcement and abolish ICE. They have told that left-wing base they would find a way to do that. This is how they think they're doing it, and they're using the American people and TSA agents as who they're going after. They're the collateral damage.
What more do they want? And if it's to fund something that was already funded by the big, beautiful law, what are they asking? Like ICE and Border Patrol were funded by that.
That's exactly right. They're funded. So the fight isn't over that, but Harris, defund federal law enforcement, abolish ICE, have open borders, allow illegal aliens to vote. That is what they want. They would rather protect people illegally in the country than protect U.S. citizens. This is a dangerous game, and they should come back to the table and vote for the bill they negotiated, and they've changed their mind. It is like the bully in the sandbox that says, I'm going to take all my toys unless I get everything I want. It is childish. It is dangerous. It is a disservice to the American people and a disservice to every federal worker that is in the Department of Homeland Security.
Look, I want to hit this because there are some Democrats, apparently at least a couple, who say it is time to end the shutdown. Let's hear from them.
Yeah.
Let's watch.
I think we should. And what we have offered is let's pay TSA, let's pay FEMA, let's pay the National Guard, or I'm sorry, the Coast Guard, let's pay CISA. I'd even say let's pay Customs and Border Patrol. If we can't agree on ICE reforms, let's pay everybody else.
We have a ton of DHS folks, the CBP, and so they are on the call and they are doing their jobs. Certainly, we need to fund the Department of Homeland Security, and we need, in my view, to cut away all the conversation on ICE, which is its own conversation.
I don't really understand how Democrats say, though, that they feel one way, but then they don't vote to reopen the government by backing the already negotiated in the House and passed bipartisan bill. Senator
Harris, if they were sincere in what they were saying there, they would fund DHS because ICE is already funded.
Another person who noticed Slotkin's statement was Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, who was no stranger to having a department shut down at the hands of the Democrats. He experienced it last year firsthand for a record 43 days when the Democrats shut down air traffic controllers' salaries until they realized the people were starting to figure out who was really behind the shutdown, just like they're doing right now. In an X post, Duffy wrote, "Are Democrats waiting for Americans to get hurt, or even worse, before they make your security a top priority?" Senator Slotkin voted every time against funding DHS. And now that an attacker tried to eliminate Jews at a synagogue in her home state of Michigan, she's ready to fund Homeland Security. Time to put the safety of Americans first. Democrats, fund the Department of Homeland Security. Fox News panel, made up of Guy Benson and Dana Perino, went one step further on Slotkin. Watch this.
Ton of DHS folks, the CBP, and So they are on the call and they are doing their jobs. Certainly, we need to fund the Department of Homeland Security, and we need, in my view, to cut away all the conversation on ICE, which is its own conversation, from all the core missions of the Department of Homeland Security. But they're essential. They're on the job. They're working today.
Guy, that seems significant. Maybe a shift, stripping away the ICE conversation and funding the department?
Well, ICE is already funded for the next 3 years, so that conversation should have been stripped away already. For her to say that certainly we need to fund Homeland Security, I agree, but I'm not the one who voted to keep it closed yesterday, which is what she did. There was a vote on this yesterday, which finished, by the way, after the attack in Michigan, in her state. She reacted on social media to that terrorist attack in her state before the vote ended. That kept the Democrat filibuster alive, meaning that the DHS department remains closed. She made that choice to vote to maintain the shuttering, the temporary closing of our Homeland Security agency. And then she comes on the cameras today and says, oh, well, certainly we need to fund it. She had the chance to do so yesterday, and she chose not to. This was after, by the way, there are 47 Democrats in the Senate. 46 of them voted to maintain their filibuster to keep DHS closed. This is after 4 apparent jihadist attacks on the homeland in the last 2 weeks. 4 homeland attacks in 2 weeks, and nearly every single Democrat in the Senate voted to keep Homeland Security closed. It's astonishing.
ICE needs to be reined in.
The clash over immigration enforcement now has the Department of Homeland Security locked in a partial government shutdown. The policy changes likely won't be enough for Democrats who want reforms to ICE codified into federal law.
That's why ICE needs to be reformed in a dramatic, bold, meaningful, and transformational manner. And if that doesn't happen, the DHS funding bill will not move forward.
Government shutdown has now dragged on for over a month with no end in sight as Democrats grapple with funding for the Department of Homeland Security.
Some Democrat lawmakers were grilled on the shutdown over the weekend, but remain adamant that Republicans are to blame for striking down their resolutions. Here was Senator Adam Schiff on Meet the Press.
Is it responsible for Democrats to hold up DHS funding with the threat of terror attacks looming during this conflict?
No.
No, Kristen, as you know, we offered vote after vote, resolution after resolution, even as recently as this week, to reopen those agencies, to fund them, and the Republicans voted it down.
And here was Senator Cory Booker having a similar conversation with CNN's Jake Tapper.
Isn't it time for Democrats to reopen and refund DHS?
So first of all, Democrats have tried multiple times to try to get TSA, CISA, the Coast Guard funded. Republicans have refused time and time again to fund.
Yeah, they want the whole agency funded.
They want the whole agency.
Booker also shifted to bashing ICE, saying he, quote, will not approve another dollar for ICE given all that they're doing. But Senator John Fetterman has called out his fellow Democrats, arguing that the shutdown won't help change ICE policies and is hurting federal workers and making Americans less safe.
And now we'll all agree that this would not have any impact in ICE. They already have their funding, and it doesn't push or force ICE to do any of those kinds of reforms that people think are necessary now too. Why would you want to punish all of these workers that under DHS? Only thing that it could do is just make us less safe, and that also makes people have to go without getting paid.
There remains a stalemate between the two parties over the funding. Democrats want reforms following the deadly shootings by federal agents, including no masks, body cameras, and getting warrants to enter private property. Republicans are calling those demands unreasonable. While ICE and Border Patrol are not impacted by the shutdown, other DHS agencies like, say, TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, they're either shut down or just working without pay.
The federal law enforcement issue involving immigration and customs enforcement, they're already funded based on the bill that was signed into law last July through 2029. All the Democrats are doing right now is trying to shut down TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA.
So there you go. The Democrats have known the whole time what Fetterman stated over a month ago. They're just hoping with the help of the dishonest media, they can snore enough people over to blame Trump again for something that he's not doing. But it's not working this time. In about a week or so, it'll be another all-time record to be set, just like they did last year. So stay tuned for that one. Please leave comments below, like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future updates. Now, in our last episode, NCTC Director Joe Kent suddenly resigned. Also, which of the 4 surviving presidents wishes they had taken Iran out just like Trump did? And what are the chances of the U.S. acquiring Cuba in some form? Now, if you missed the last video, stay tuned because it's coming up. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.